श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिगुरु जगतचार्य अष्टोत्तर सतीश डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिगुरु जगतचार्य अष्टोत्तर सद्भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Welcome to today morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from Canto 4, chapter 22, verse number 58. Please repeat after me. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Prasnaya iva tarpayan. Parjanya iva tarpayan. Samudra iva durbodha. Samudra iva durbodha. Satvena chalaradiva. Satvena chalaradiva. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Parjanya iva tarpayan. Parjanya iva tarpayan. Samudra iva durbodha. Samudra iva durbodha. Satvena chalaradiva. Satvena chalaradiva. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Parjanya iva tarpayan. Samudra iva durbodha. Satvena chalaradiva. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Parjanya iva tarpayan. Samudra iva durbodha. Satvena chalaradiva. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Parjanya iva tarpayan. Samudra iva durbodha. Samudra iva Varsati sma yatha kamam. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Parjanya iva tarpayan. Samudra iva durbodha. Satvena radha iva. Varsati sma yatha kamam. Parjanya iva tarpayan. Samudra iva durbodha. Satvena radha iva. Mataji. Okay, word to word, please repeat after me. Varsati, pouring. Sma, used to. Yatha kamam, as much as one can desire. Parjanya, water. Eva, like. Tarpayan, pleasing. Samudra, the sea. Eva, likened. Durbodha, not understandable. Satvena, by essential position. Achala, the hills. Rata Eva, like the king of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Translation, please repeat after me. Just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desires, Mahārāja Pṛthu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea, in that in that no one could understand his depths. And he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the fixity of his purpose. Purport. Mahārāja Pṛthu used to distribute his mercy to suffering humanity, and it was like rainfall after excessive heat. The ocean is wide and expansive, and it is very difficult to measure its length and breadth. Similarly, Pṛthu Maharaj was so deep and great that no one could fathom his purposes. The hill known as Meru is fixed in the universe as a universal pivot, and no one can move it an inch from its position. Similarly, no one could ever dissuade Mahārāja Pṛthu when he was determined. We'll do Mangalacharan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghutatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatra Rupyasa Kripa Sindhuta Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desires, Mahārāja Pṛthu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea in that no one could understand his depths, and he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the fixity of his purpose. So, to set a theme, like Pṛthu Maharaj is being glorified as per his qualities, his activities in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we know Pṛthu Maharaj is Satyavasa avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And few things that we can pick from today's verse. So in purport we read about fixity, how purposeful Pṛthu Maharaj was, and about satisfying the desires of everyone among the kingdom, for the prajas. So if we reflect from Canto 2, even Canto 1, we read about the duties of Kshatriyas, what are their duties, and among them, like, one is to take care of their prajas who are living under the shelter of King Pṛthu Maharaj. And prajas, they were very much happy, and they were feeling very much fortunate to have king like Pṛthu Maharaj, who was like able to satisfy their desire, same as rainfall satisfies everyone's desire. And as per the knowledge, the understanding, the tactics, the principles Pṛthu Maharaj used to rule the kingdom, that were like same as the depth of the sea, that no one could measure. And for the fixity, for the determination, it is compared to the Meru mountain, which is the king of all the hills. So whenever we hear about determination, like, which personality comes in our mind from Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, more? Yes. So for fixity, if we see the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they were very much clear for what they are doing and what they are doing. They were determined in their purpose. And even if we read from Nectar of Instruction, for performing any activity, how we should perform it, then it comes like Utsaha Nischayat Dharyat Tat Karma Pravartanat. So Utsaha, by enthusiasm. And if we see the enthusiasm in Pṛthu Maharaj, Arjuna, and all the personalities, the pure devotees of the Lord, they were very much enthusiastic. Utsaha Nischayat, they were like determined, fixed, like, yeah, I'm fixed, nothing can shake me, not carried away by the situations. And patient, like, they were very much calm. If something provoking happens in the process or in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they would take it as they would like at first reflect whether it was due to my drawbacks or it is something supreme cause. So they were very much calm and patient. They won't get frustrated if something didn't work out. Yeah. So these are some of the qualities that we can see in the pure devotees of the Lord. And from that, we also hear about Srila Haridas Thakur, about his determination, even being born in totally provoking country like Bangladesh. Like, we can take inspiration from the Srila Haridas Thakur's lifetime, and I will share something about Srila Haridas Thakur's lifetime, how his lifetime was, what were some of the situations, and how our Srila Haridas Thakur, he was fixed in his determination. So what is the connection of Srila Haridas Thakur with the ISKCON? So very first thing, he is a very revered saint in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, and lived a remarkable life dedicated to the chanting of the holy names. Like, whenever we chant or we recite the 10 offenses, at last we say Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. So Srila Haridas Thakur is known as the Nama Acharya. And how he came to be the Nama Acharya will come to know after this story. So he dedicated his remarkable life for chanting the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And where was he born? He was born in place called Buron, which is known as like Bangladesh now, Buron, at that very time. And Srila Haridas Thakur's life is like testament to unwavering devotion and the universal nature of spirituality. And when we come to know about the pastime or life of any of the devotees, we start from birth, how they were born, like everything so attractive and so pleasing. Even if we read every time, it won't feel boring. So how was Haridas Thakur born? So from his very birth, like Srila Haridas Thakur displayed an intense devotion to the holy names of Sri Krishna. And if we see nowadays, when babies are born, they are born like crying. So one symptom is when pure devotee is born, like of course they may be crying, but the immediate symptom is they have inclination toward the devotional service of the Lord. So from here we can also reflect, we read in Bhagavad Gita, whatever spiritual activity or devotional service we perform in this life, it gets like continued from the next life if we are unable to complete in one lifetime. And as Haridas Thakur, like they are the pure devotees, like we cannot say like whether they were born in their past life, they must be some of the great personality. So moving forward, like his background as a Muhammad, he was born in a Muslim family and did not deter to deep in connection with the Supreme Lord. So his devotion led him to the banks of the Ganges at place called Fulia, and near Santipur, it is near the Santipur, where he came into the company of Sri Advaita Acharya, a prominent Vaishnava saint of that very time. And even we read about Advaita Acharya in Panchatattva, we can see Advaita Acharya. We say Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Acharya, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So he got the association of the pure devotee Sri Advaita Acharya in the bank of Ganges, which was located in Fulia in Santipur. So what was the challenging time for Srila Haridas Thakur? So Haridas Thakur, like devotion to holy name began to draw attention, and not all of its like it was positive, like as being born in a Muslim family, taking the name of Supreme Personality of Godhead, it was like same as being surrounded by the wild animals, like a human being surrounded by the wild animals. Like all the Mohammedans would provoke him, disturb him. Why are you taking the name of Krishna? You are Muslim, you should be reading the Quran, you should be like taking the name of Muhammad. And that were the challenges at that very time. So the local Muhammad administrator, like filled with malice we say, like accused him of behaving like a Hindu. The administrator, local Muhammad administrator, like in Hindu Samaj there is panchayat for taking the decisions of certain village. Somewhere like there was Mohammedan administrator in that very area where Haridas Thakur was born. So he accused him for behaving as a Hindu, and this marked like beginning of a challenging period in Haridas Thakur's life. So family were already trying to push him, okay, you should not take the name of Krishna, you should read our own scripture, our own religion. And when it came out of the house, like it was the matter of more attraction for other people, oh, being born in Muslim family, taking name of Krishna, acting as a Hindu. Then there comes like test for faith. Like even when we are practicing devotional service, Krishna tests our faith, like how much surrendered we are. Like every one of us may have felt that, oh, Gopinath tested me, how much I am surrendered to Gopinath in that very certain period of time. So test was also for Haridas Thakur. Like when ordered to abandon his chanting and recite the Kalam, the local administrator, Muslim administrator, they like forced Haridas Thakur to abandon his chanting and recite the Kalam, a Muslim prayer. Then Srila Haridas Thakur resolutely declared that the Supreme Lord is one, and regardless of the different names people used to address him, he refused to abandon the chanting of Harinam, even in the face of severe punishments. And Haridas Thakur, like we can read in Chaitanya Bhagavat, like one very beautiful verse, says, Khanda khanda hai deha jai jadi prana, Khanda khanda hai deha jai jadi prana, Tabu ami vadane na chari hari naam, Tabu ami vadane na chari hari naam. So what Haridas Thakur said as a reply to the Mohammedan, to the people who were trying to force them, you may cut my body to pieces and the life may leave it, but I will never abandon the holy name which my tongue will ever continue to chant. So this was taken from Chaitanya Bhagavat 16.91. Now, as being the local administrator, the talk went to the king, up to the king. Oh, in your kingdom there is someone who takes the name of Krishna as you are the Muhammad. So what happened? The local king, influenced by the administrator, ordered that Srila Haridas Thakur should be beaten in the 21 marketplaces. However, Srila Haridas Thakur, unwavering devotion to the holy name, was shielded from the harm, and he did not feel any bodily discomfort during his ordeal. So we heard that king ordered to beat him in the 21 marketplaces, but Haridas Thakur, because of his unflinching faith, he remained unharmed. So when we hear of unflinching devotional service, we hear of being shielded, the interruption of Krishna, intervention of Krishna, how he protected his devotee. One personality more comes from Srimad Bhagavatam. Any guess? Yes. So Prahlad Maharaj, we can see how his circumstances was. Being born in the demonic family, like Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, we can say among all the demonic family, only one devotee, and we can reflect it with our day-to-day life and activities. When we are chanting alone, how difficult we find to complete our 16 rounds. When we are not in the association of devotees, how difficult it is to even complete the sadhana. So what was the thing that Prahlad Maharaj or Prahlad Maharaj's mother, she did? When Hiranyakashipu, he was performing austerity to please Lord Brahma and get the boon. Narada Muni, mother of Prahlad Maharaj, she got Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha when she performed some devotional service to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. And because of that very little bit samskara, we can see Prahlad Maharaj as a devotee, how fixed he was in his devotion and his unflinching faith. Even in the circumstances when his father ordered the ministers to put him to the death, the provoking situations, he was protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Haridas Thakur, divine protection, and it was visible. So just as Prahlad Maharaj was protected from harm by Lord's divine intervention, Srila Haridas Thakur's faith and devotion shielded him from the attackers. Even the Mohammedans who sought to harm him realized that he was not ordinary person. So people who were trying to beat the Haridas Thakur several times, for more than an hour, they realized no harm is being impacting Haridas Thakur. He is remaining unchangeable, he is fixed. So they realized that Haridas Thakur was not an ordinary person. And even after being that much, what was the bhav of Srila Haridas Thakur at that very point of time? Witnessing the greatness of Srila Haridas Thakur, the attackers were humbled and sought his forgiveness. And Srila Haridas Thakur, in his magnanimity, forgave them, and they were absolved of their offenses. And this is something that we try to cultivate by performing devotional service, being humble, being to develop forgiveness towards anyone who is trying to do some offense. And this was in Haridas Thakur we can also learn, and also in Prahlad Maharaj. If we see when Prahlad Maharaj was asked by Hiranyakasipu to say what you learned in the Gurukula, the way we have Gurukula, the demons, they also have Gurukula, where they used to learn all the demonic activities, how to disturb the mankind, how to learn the mystic powers, and the purpose was to disturb the mankind for the sense gratifications. In the center was sense gratification for the demoniac. And the reply of the Prahlad Maharaj was, he went everything. He talked about the qualities of a Kshatriya king, how a king should be, and then after he said Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's the point where Hiranyakashipu was totally frustrated. This is the thing you are learning. And in reply, Prahlad Maharaj, he was very humble and trying to preach even at that very time. Yeah, and then after, where do you get your energy from? That is the same source for my energy. Like in this way, he was trying to like say to his father, rather in retaliation mood, like, no, you should do like this. His mood was very humble. He was trying to present absolute truth as it is. So, teaching the power of chanting, Srila Haridas Thakurji, like he displayed how powerful the chanting of the name, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. His name, form, like Gun, Rup, Leela, is non-different than him. So, in another instance, like Srila Haridas Thakur emphasized the significance of loudly chanting the holy name, explaining that it is not only benefits that the chanter, but also it uplifts to the someone who listens the chanting. So we do like Harinam Sankirtan time to time, and because at that very time, what happens is whoever listens or comes in contact of holy name, they gets purified, and they can like reflect what is the aim of life, why am I here. Even the birds, the beasts, the trees, the animals. So this teaching drew the ire of proud Brahmana and resulting in his downfall due to Vaishnava Aparadh. So the people who were like trying to perform some of the offenses, like even they can pray to the Mahamantra. Mahamantra can guide them like how to act and how to be. As 90% of the progress of spiritual lives comes from the chanting, offenseless chanting. And divine revelation from the life of Srila Haridas Thakur. So Srila Haridas Thakur had a special relationship with Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like who revealed his divine form to Haridas, bearing the scars, like when Haridas Thakur was beaten in the marketplace, the scars that should be on the back of the Haridas Thakur, on the body of the scars on the body of Haridas Thakur, it was displayed on the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also we often hear about a story when Haridas Thakur was chanting in his hunt, like the different one person named like Ramachandra Khana, he tried to distract the chanting of Haridas Thakur by like sending some of the prostitutes towards its residence, and as a result, like whole Gramyavasi, whole of the villagers, they were a bit convicted that okay, now Haridas Thakur, he will leave up chanting, he will be distracted, and he will fall down in that sense. But later in the morning, the result was opposite as per the speculation of the Gramyavasis. Like the prostitute, like who came to distract Haridas Thakur, she like became the most disciplined disciple of Haridas Thakur, and she started chanting the holy name. So from here, Haridas Thakur gained a bit positive, not a bit, a lot of positive followers and feedback from the Gramyavasis, as he acted as an example. And so this was from the life of the Haridas Thakur, and also from Srila Prabhupada's lifetime, like during when he took sannyasa, how provoking situation it was. And it's interesting story. When I read, I said, well, it's like attention attracting. So what happened in 1959, like when Srila Prabhupada, he accepts sannyasa. One night, Prabhupada, he had a dream, like his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, appeared before him, and beckoning, he was like asking Prabhupada, leave home and take sannyasa. And Prabhupada woke in an intensely emotional state. So in first dream, he woke up in an emotional state, his spiritual master asking him to leave home, take sannyasa, and it was a horrible situation for Prabhupada. He knew it was not an ordinary dream, yet the request seemed so difficult and unlikely. So at that very time, Prabhupada, he was Grihastha, he had family, and he has factories to take care. He was so busy in his day-to-day life, and this was the first dream. And then after, the instruction was to take sannyasa. At least it was not something he could do immediately. Like taking sannyasa means living up everything and going outside preaching the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And being in Grihastha, it's very responsible life. One need to perform their day-to-day duties, responsibilities towards their family. Yeah, so this was something that couldn't be done immediately. Now he had to improve the business, and with the profits he would print books. Whatever profit he would have gained from the business he was doing, he would print books, as this is one of the instruction he received from his spiritual master. Whenever you get money, print books. And he went on with his duties, saying, okay, I'm getting instruction in dream, I will fulfill. But doing it immediately is not practical. But he remained unshaken by the dream. And in 1948, like, Prabhupada closed his Lucknow factory. Prabhupada, he was like pharmacist. He had good idea about the medicines. He was running the pharmaceutical factory when he was in Karmi life. And he had fallen behind in his employee's salary, and since 1946 he had been paying past rent in installments. So from here, like, the sales were dropped up. Like, overall situation of Prabhupada was his business was going down. He need to pay the salaries to his employees in installments, and continuing factory was almost becoming impossible. Like, he lost everything at that very moment. So Srila Prabhupada, like, he started a big factory in Lucknow. Those were like golden days. Prabhupada said, like, those were the golden days. My business flourished like anything. Everything in the chemical business new, but gradually everything dwindled. So everything was going very nice. J curve was there in the business, but everything seems to be dwindled. Second, the downfall was starting in the business. And with the help of some acquaintances in Allahabad, like, he opened a small factory there in the same city where his Prayag pharmacy, like, his name of the pharmacy was Prayag Pharmacy, had failed 15 years before. He moved to Allahabad with his sons Brindavana and continued manufacturing medicines, while rest of the family were in the Banerjee lane in Calcutta. So Prabhupada continued his traveling, but now he was often, like, struggling with the business. He need to move to the different places. And then he had the dream of second time. Second time he had the same dream. His spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj appeared before him, and again he asked. He was beginning, indicating that Prabhupada should take sannyas, and again Prabhupada had to put the dream aside, and he was a householder with many responsibilities. So the Allahabad business was unsuccessful. He tried multiple times to start another business. It was unsuccessful. At the present, the condition of Prabhupada business was not good, and he wrote his servant Gauranga, who had asked to rejoin him when the condition begins better, and if he was, like, free at that time, like, he would remember one sloka that his spiritual master used to quote few times when he met his spiritual master. He said, and this verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, verse 88, text 8, chapter 88, text 8. So this is Sri Bhagavanu Vacha, Yasyaham anugrahnami harisya tadhanam snai tato dhanam tyajanti asya swajana dukha dukhitam. So what does this mean, this verse? Krishna says in this verse, when I feel especially merciful towards someone, I gradually, like, take away all his material possessions, his friends and relatives, then reject his poverty-stricken and most wretched fellow. So this is when Krishna is pleased upon someone. This is how Krishna shows his mercy. Now he had heard Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj quoting this verse multiple times, and now he thought of it often, like, as his circumstances were similarly connecting to this verse, and he took it that this present circumstance were uncontrolled, but as per him, but was controlled by Sri Krishna, who was forcing him into a helpless position, freeing him for preaching Krishna consciousness. So now Srila Prabhupada, somehow or other, his intention for preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu increased, and the other side, the decreased his material possessions, his, like, accumulation, and his relatives. And this was because of the force and the mercy of Sri Krishna himself. And the message that was coming to his mind and the dreams is, you must give it up. This history is known how it decreased and decreased. So overall, the Prabhupada was contemplating on the overall circumstances from 1946 to his present situation, how his everything business is going down, though he was going like booming like anything else, and he was relating it with the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was looking his situation through Shastras, through the courts, through the Sadhu Guru and Shastra. And in Srimad Bhagavatam also we can hear about like Queen Kunti Maharani's like prayers. She said like, my dear Lord Krishna, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. And one who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself in respectable parentage, great opulence, high education and bodily beauty, cannot approach Krishna without sincere feeling. So in order to have the sincere feeling, if we have material possession, it won't necessarily build up or develop the sincere feeling towards Krishna. When we don't have the material, when we are materially exhausted, then we can easily approach Krishna. So this was like a mercy for Srila Prabhupada at that very time, that all of his material possession was going away. And Srila Prabhupada, so in 1950, like he tried practically, not tried but a little in touch, he tried to stay in business, and whatever was going for the daily livelihood, he was trying to do that. Then almost he became nil, like he remained with nothing, no business, none of the income through his pharmaceutical company. Whatever was there was like all right, he said, Prabhupada. And one night Prabhupada has a striking dream. The same dream, it's like the third time Prabhupada was having the dream. And the dream was that he had several times before. During his days as a householder, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj appeared. Just as Prabhupada had known him, the tall, scholarly sannyasi, coming directly from the spiritual world, from Krishna's personal entourage, he called the Prabhupada and indicated that he should follow. Repeatedly, he called and motioned. And he was asking Prabhupada to take sannyas. Come, he urged, and become a sannyasi. So finally Prabhupada, like in the third dream, he woke up in a state of wonder. And first he was in a emotionally a bit disbalanced state. In the third dream he was in a state of wonder. And he thought of the instructions as another feature of original instruction of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. And so finally Prabhupada took sannyas. So the Vedic standard and the example set by the previous acharyas was that if one wanted to lead a preaching movement, sannyas was required. Even when we hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj has taken sannyas to facilitate the missionary work which was preaching. Lord Chaitanya had taken sannyas to further his Sankirtan, to progress in the Sankirtan movement. So what happens when someone takes sannyas? Of course, Lord Chaitanya was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but his young students, like whom Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was guiding, had been disrespectful towards him and treating him as an ordinary man. And he had taken sannyas because when someone takes sannyas, they are automatically respected and they listen to sannyasis. So Lord Chaitanya accepts the sannyasa and was calculated the tactic as soon as he began traveling throughout India as a sannyasi. He immediately attracted thousands of followers in the Sankirtan movement. So for the preaching mission, if we see the sannyasis, even in our movement, they keep traveling place to place and preach. And whenever there is sannyasi, everyone automatically offers their respect to the sannyasis, bow down, they try to listen attentively as respect to someone like who is generally practice or is engaged in their day-to-day activities. So that was the importance. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also highlighted the importance of taking sannyasa for the preaching movement to flourish this. Now, knowing that in Kali Yuga there will be many cheaters who take sannyasa and perform the sense gratificatory activities by cheating the innocent public, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had advised against accepting the sannyasa in the age of Kali Yuga, and he knew that the cheaters would act immorally anytime and perform their sins gratificatory activities. So many followers, simply to enhance their own prestige, sometimes they accept the sannyas, and this is abandoned in Srimad Bhagavatam. We should not one should not accept sannyas or any higher position of which is very respectful just by the sake for sense gratification or for the sake for having own personal gain, as this should be 100% for the pleasure of Krishna, Guru and Gauranga. So this was from the past time how Srila Prabhupada took sannyasa, and we often come across a verse in Bhagavad Gita 3.2.1, whatever a great man does, the ordinary man follows. So this verse goes as yad yad acharati shrestha tat tat evattaro jana sa yat paramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Similarly, Pṛthu Maharaj, when he was performing his activities, he was acting as a great man, performing in such a way so that other could learn from us. Similarly, if we see Vyasadeva, when he gave Mahabharata to the less intelligent person, and there are a lot of solutions for our day-to-day problems. For instance, if someone is struggling with the lusty desire, they should plan with determination. By performing this way, they can overcome the lusty desire. Similarly, if someone is angry, lust, anger, they should give up the envy. In this way, they can overcome the anger. And similarly, most of the solutions to our day-to-day life we find in the Shastras. But among that, in the process of gaining those solutions, another thing we try to learn from the Sadhu, Guru and Shastra is the main aim of our life, which is to know Krishna, as Krishna is the knower of the Vedas and everything. And one interesting thing, when Prabhupada, he was performing the preaching mission in India, he used to say we should always be enthusiastic to try for shooting the rhinoceros. Now this phrase, what does this mean? We should be enthusiastic and try for shooting the rhinoceros. Anyone would like to try? I will explain. So if we hear this, try to shoot a rhinoceros enthusiastically, means how we should understand this. If we fail, everybody will say never mind, nobody can shoot a rhinoceros, and anyway, and if we succeed, then everyone will say just see what a wonderful thing they had done. So what Prabhupada was trying to say is try to shoot a rhinoceros enthusiastically. Everyone knows shooting a rhinoceros is not an ordinary thing. Not everyone can shoot. Even if we fail, they will say it was not possible to kill rhinoceros. But what if we would kill the rhinoceros? Just see what a wonderful thing they have done. Similarly, in India, when Prabhupada was performing Krishna Katha preaching works, that very time, we hear about the Bhagavad Sapta nowadays, 7 days Bhagavad Sapta, Bhagavad Katha. At that very time, even performing that for one day was a big thing, big deal. And that very time Prabhupada said, okay, we'll perform this for 11 days. For 11 days we'll do Krishna Katha, we'll perform the chanting, we'll perform the devotional service. And this was similar as hunting a rhinoceros for the ordinary man who were hearing about this message. And even if it couldn't happen for 11 days, they would say, yeah, nobody could do till now, how could you do for 11 days? So it was in that sense. And guess what? Prabhupada and their disciples, they successfully did the devotional service, the Krishna Katha, the Yagna for 11 days. And from there, it attracted a lot of followers. If we hear about the Gujarati people, they all know Krishna, who Krishna is. And at that very time, the Yagna that happened was in Gujarat. At that very time, all of the most of the Gujarati people, they attended that very like Pandala we say, or the Krishna Katha given by the Prabhupada. And from there, like even if we meet any Gujarati randomly, they know they say Jai Shri Krishna or Hare Krishna. So that was the impact that Prabhupada created that very time while preaching. And while preaching in Russia as well, like when Prabhupada, he went there, like whenever Prabhupada traveled to these places, the very first challenge was the food, because Russia, it goes in minus the temperature, and the fresh vegetables, the fresh grains wouldn't grow there in a healthy state. So people, what they used to do for their livelihood, they would like store the non-vegetarian foods, store it for a long time. So the easily available foodstuffs like potatoes and the other vegetables which would grow in the austere condition was available, and finding that was also another level of austerity. Not everyone would keep it in their shop. So that was the level of challenge Prabhupada faced while preaching in different countries. And in Russia, like finding veggies was same as challenging as, any guess how challenging was finding veggies in Russia where the temperature is in minus? Yeah, pretty much impossible. And Sam Sundar Prabhu, who used to travel with Prabhupada different countries, and his disciples, like they would spend like days, sometimes whole day, to find the veggies and to offer to Krishna, then to take back. And in that country, to preach and ask someone not to give up eating non-veg and take up the Krishna consciousness, how challenging it was. So Prabhupada, like he met one boy named Ivan. He's from Russia, and he met Prabhupada like when Prabhupada was trying to preach in Russia. And at that very time, Russia, it was very strict in terms of, like, it was communist country at that very time. Anyone trying to preach religiousity, they were like put into the jail. They were like given like very austere punishments. So Prabhupada found Ivan, and Ivan was the son of Indian ambassador. So he got Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada preached him for 2 days. He explained about the soul, relationship of the soul, what is the main aim of our life in that way. And just in 2 days, whatever Prabhupada could do from his side, he said to Ivan, he transplanted that, and he taught chanting. And even if we are able to see ISKCON Russia right now, it is the one-handed effort and one-handed mercy of that very Ivan Prabhu, who preached after that when Prabhupada left, just after 2 days of preaching to Ivan. And right now when we are preaching to someone, after months, after years, what is the result? Like, yeah, they accept, they follow some regulative principles, though like they have some doubt or they are not as faithful as Ivan. So that was the mood, the way how Prabhupada preached. Just in 2 days he preached one boy Ivan, and he created whole like preaching mission in Russia. And it was not easy for Ivan as well, because how policemen would like trace or try to find the preachers was, they would say, oh, I am very much interested in yoga. This was the incident happened to Sam Sundar Prabhu when he went to a shop. He was trying to buy some grocery. One Indian approaches him and says, oh, I am very much interested in yoga. I give you my number and address. Can you come to my place and teach me? And Sam Sundar Prabhu, he stated as it is to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, don't go, he is the police officer. So you can see how challenging and how by hiding they were trying to catch who are trying to preach the cult. And for Ivan Prabhu, he did the same thing. And he went through a lot of difficulties that we cannot even think with this mind and even perceive. And some of the things that comes to my mind is, they were put into the jail, tortured, and when they get the breads to eat, they used to make the beads of that very bread and chant. So that was the level of surrender towards the Krishna and devotion by the devotees of Russia. So this was some of the thing. And when we are performing any preaching mission or trying to share any of the activity to the new people, very first thing comes is like judging mood. Okay, he will take the book. Okay, he will like place for the temple rebuild or not. Okay, he doesn't look like he can do or not. Like we use our mind. We have our heart and our mind. We should be using our heart for the service of Krishna and mind for material dealings, but we do opposite. We use our mind dealing with Krishna and heart with worldly people. That's why it gets broken time to time and we get cosmic slap. And impossible word, whenever Prabhupada heard about this, he said impossible word is a word in a fool's dictionary. There was no word for Prabhupada something called impossible. Someone who knows impossible is fool. He has very low class dictionary, keeping the word like full impossible in his dictionary. And throughout this, if we see the determination of Prabhupada, devotion toward Radha Krishna, and one more point I remember, we are seeing Radha Gopinath. I talked about the 11 day of Yagna, 11 day of devotional service Prabhupada did, and the deity that were there where Prabhupada was doing was our same Radha Gopinath. And we can find this reference in the small book Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit, the messenger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And just after completing that very Yagna, Prabhupada traveled to Sydney and he brought Radha Gopinath with him and installed in a house of a devotee. And he initiated the devotees who came in the radius of like 1 week, who had some interest in Krishna consciousness, who visited temple. How lucky they were! They got first initiation. Even some of the devotees got second initiation, who visited just within 1 week of the temple. So how the process was like, they get initiated, they get Brahmana Diksha, then they read Prabhupada books, then they understand like how to like worship deity. As for deity worship, they need Brahmanas. Brahmana Diksha is there, which is known as second initiation. So Prabhupada initiated some of the devotees for second initiation so that the preaching and the worship of Radha Gopinath would be continued. And he prayed to Radha Gopinath, I don't have like enough time to take your responsibility. So please guide. I'm leaving you in the hand of Milechas. Please give them proper intelligence and guidance so that they can worship you properly. So we can see right now, from that handful devotees, we are a like big family right now. And as a result, when family from 2 members it grows to 4 to 5. So 2-seater car it goes to 5 to 7-seater car. Same way we are going to have new temple over here very soon by mercy of Radha Gopinath and all the devotees. And by saying this much, I would like to conclude. Any question, correction? No? Yes. Mm-hmm.
No one could ever dissuade Mahārāja Pṛthu when he was determined. I'm just wondering if these two can be related to the shloka. There is a word satvena, meaning by existential position. So I'm just wondering if these three are related. Do you want to see?
Yeah, so your question is like, there is in the fixity of his purpose, you mean in translation, can be related with satvena chala, which means by essential position. Yeah, we can relate it with that as well. Very first thing, like if we see in our day-to-day life, like the listeners, the praja, they follow someone either by their position or by their like acharan or by their activities. They must be pure in their activities. And Pṛthu Maharaj, he had both of them. As by the position he was a king, and another thing, he had all the good qualities that Kshatriya king should possess. And as per my understanding, like the fixity in his purpose, like when he was determined to perform any of the service, nobody could like shake him or carry him from his purpose. And this can be by the both, one by the position and by his knowledge. As if we see in the previous verses of the same chapter, what is the mood of the prajas for Pṛthu Maharaj? They are feeling fortunate to have king as Pṛthu Maharaj. The very first thing, if we connect it with the right now, what is the mood of people right now in the present context? If they are ruled by someone, they respect just by their position. If the position holder is trying to teach something to them, the mood of the teacher, it's like centered by sense gratification. Okay, I will use him. I am the order giving, even if I am not attentive or even if I am not perfect. But Pṛthu Maharaj, he didn't have any of this. He had all the perfect qualities. He was being glorified when he entered the kingdom by the prajas. So when the prajas glorify their king, either when they are either in pressure or just by the sake of not being punished, or when they are really happy within. So as the chapter went, in the previous verses we saw, the prajas were happy within. They were feeling fortunate. They were expressing their fortune to King Pṛthu. So why they were expressing? Because they knew by heart, okay, he is the perfect king. Whatever he will do, it's good for us. So anyone who is trying to guide us, even if our mentors, anything provoking, if anything sharp they say, how we realize is, okay, this is good for me. I am not unable to understand right now, but whatever he is saying, he is trying to help us. So in that mood, we can connect by position also, by the qualities also. Prabhuji, if any correction, I would like to request if I spoke right or wrong. Yes, Prabhu. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Yesterday, Prabhu also explained about the position and the qualities. Nowadays, people respect someone by the position. Or he is the temple president, I should respect him. Another one, if we take example of our temple president, His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu, the way he is doing the preaching mission, the way he is balancing his day-to-day life, the way he is trying to give proper guidance to everyone. Even if someone who don't know he is the temple president, he will respect him, he will try to grab some of the knowledge from him. Yeah. So what do you think, even if the prajas, they know the King Pṛthu, he is not even the king, just if he is guiding, will they take their suggestion or not? He will take, right? Yeah, same thing. We can understand in this way. I tried to explain whatever I understood from this chapter. If any offense or any mistake, I am happy to collect. श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की, जनिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, गौर भक्तवृंद की।